So if you are going to take on the task of making a fall wreath for yourself, there are going to be some things that you need. You're going to need some supplies. Um, Everybody is going to have their different tastes, what they want to include on their wreath, but no matter what, there's certain things that you're going to need. You're going to need a base. This is the type that I like to make. Your base is going to have these pipe cleaners attached to them. There we go. Your base is going to have these little pipe cleaners attached sporadically around your frame to keep everything nice and round. This is what you're going to use this is going to help you attach, whatever you're going to have. So you need that. You're going to need a pair of scissors, of course. Good pair of scissors, nice and sharp. Other important things you might want to have on hand are a pair of wire cutters. That's going to be good for certain, you may not need these, but it's going to be good for certain things that I got. A nice pair of nice and sharp wire cutters to take care of some of these thicker pieces. And you'll also want a hot glue gun. Just a simple, you can get this anywhere. All of this really you can get anywhere, but those are the basic things. Today I'm going to be working with some of these babies. They're called picks. They're going to have these little sticks at the end for you to be able to kind of put those wherever you want them. I like to break those apart. I have another set of picks with these nice little, it's that velvet, these little velvet pumpkins that I saw and really liked. So that was that was one of the first things I saw when I walked in the store looking for things, and so that was the theme that I ended up with. I also have another bag of the velvet pumpkins and some pine cones. I have this bag of different pumpkins and gourds and some more pine cones. I also have this pretty textured green ribbon that I'm going with. I have these nice leaves that my baby girl was in here earlier when I was doing stuff, and she said, "Are those crusty leaves, mommy?" And I guess she's right, they are a little crusty, but I like the look of that. And I also have my deco mesh, which this time a lot of times I'll go with a burlap, but the burlap is always like really itchy to me, and so this time I went with like this khaki colored deco mesh for what I'm going to do today. Let's get started. So, two of the worst mistakes that I think you can make when taking on a project like this is the first one would be taking it all too seriously. The second one is going to be trying to do too much at once. In terms of taking it all too seriously, you want to enjoy yourself when you're doing this. You've spent time at the store picking out things that you like, picking out things that appeal to you, picking out a color palette that that you feel like you're going to enjoy. The last thing you want to do is get it home, and because it doesn't look exactly like this one that you saw on Pinterest or this one that you saw on Instagram or wherever, and now you're not enjoying it because you're putting too much pressure on the project. So just try to enjoy the process. It can look however you want it to look. It doesn't have to look like somebody else's. It doesn't have to look ready to go on a showroom. It's for you. It's for you to enjoy. And so try to just breathe. The other thing is trying to do too much at once. And so instead of taking this all together and trying to decide, okay, now I'm going to put this here and I'm going to put this there, what I like to do is I like to handle it in layers. And so I'm actually going to get rid of everything except my deco mesh and my wreath, and I'm going to start there, and my wreath base. I'm going to start there. I'm going to build my first layer, make sure that that is all where I want it to be, and then we'll be able to go through and add these other embellishments to add to it instead of trying to make it into something all at once. Let's get started. Alright, so first things first, we have to build our base. And so we're going to cut off, open things up, open up, get this stuff out of the packaging. Then we're going to find, there is a point on this. point on this, it actually doesn't matter. Some of them, sometimes they'll have a point where you can really tell, like, okay, this is where the top was intended to be, and then sometimes not so much. And with mine, when I picked is the one that's not so much, I feel like. Well, start here. Let's make this our top. So as I know this is going to be the top, I'm going to unroll some of my deco mesh. I'm going to, what is it? I think I see it here. Let's start here, because this one has one of the little thingamabobs right here at the where this bar right here is. There's a pipe cleaner right there. So it's really about, once you've secured this with the pipe cleaner, it's really about taking this, bunching it where you want it to be, or how big you want it to be, and then going to the next one, looping that through, kind of fluffing it out to, get that out of the way, fluffing it out to where you want it to be, and then securing. You don't have to secure it too tight right now, because you may end up opening that one back up to secure something else. So I'm melting that. But you're gonna go all the way around this, doing that same thing. Okay, once you make it back around to the top, you're going to secure that again, and then some people, and sometimes I do too, just take this around and come up to the front layer. Today I'm going to completely separate it so that I have two completely separate layers. So got that done. Now I'm going to do this inside layer, or I call it front, but inside layer through here. Now, as you can see, I've reached this end again where I started, or the beginning rather, where I started. And so I unlooped that particular pipe cleaner, and now I'm tucking this one in with it, and I am going to twist this again. And so now I have two different layers of my deco mesh. And if I go around, it's all nice and full. So as you can see, now I have my wreath. I have the base of it built with two layers, and I've got two layers of the mesh. That's going to be my base for me to add all the other things to it. So the first layer I'm going to start with after my deco mesh is my ribbon. I'm actually, because I'm using for the style I'm doing for this one, I'm considering it part of my base, so that's going to be the next thing I add. This particular ribbon is wire edge ribbon. You do not have to use, you don't have to use that. You can use other types of ribbon as well, but the wire edge ribbon is just going to give you a nice clean loops without so much of the collapsing in those loops. I actually think that's really pretty, and so I think that might be what I'm going to aim to kind of keep. So I'm going to go ahead and unroll a bit of this so that I have it to work with. And then, just like I did for the deco mesh, I'm going to start by finding one of these pipe cleaner. Start with finding one of these pipe cleaner loops, and I'm going to just tuck that in, and then what do I want to do? This is the part that I was talking about not really taking it too seriously, just kind of having fun with it. I think that I am going to let that curl and then bring it around to this loop here and undo that so that I can secure it. And then and you do have to be a little careful because you see how I kind of mangled it a little bit. That wire edge, but I'm gonna come around and find another, I think I'll loop it here. Alright, so we've got that done, and right now it doesn't look like much still, just honestly. This is the part where a lot of people would give up. It's not, because, I mean, it doesn't really look like anything. Why waste more time? Well, when you understand it as something to build on, you understand, that helps you understand that, okay, it may not look like much right now, but I'm not finished yet. I need to see it through to see it all come together. So for my first decorative piece, I have decided that I want to start with the crusty leaves. And so because I know that I'm going to be starting with those, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way for now so that we have all our little pieces. But I know that I'm not going to just stick this whole thing on here at once, and so it's important for me to get in there and really see what's down in here so that I understand how to take this apart if I want to. And so understand that there's this little paper that is kind of wrapped around the wires to make this look more like a branch. And so if I trim some of that little paper, I can actually unwrap this, or I can just lift it. See, and now I have pieces that I can work with instead of, you know, utilizing it all at once. I have these different pieces that I can work with, a few singles. There we go. And if I want to break this down further, I can, but this just helps me gives me more of a baseline that I can work from, whereas I can kind of spread stuff out and make sure that it's even without leaving anything really clumped up all together at once. So from that one piece, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces now that I'll be able to use on my wreath. And so move that out of the way. And now I can bring my wreath back into the equation so that I can see where I want to put this. Now, I know one of the important things is going to be hiding, you know, it's going to be hiding these places where the pipe cleaners are. And so if I take this and if I move this aside, I'll be able to see, where are we? I'll be able to see this area right here where this wire base is, and I can stick my more hefty pieces right through this wire base, and then because it's made of this stem, I can just wrap this around the wire base to keep it secure. And then from there, I'll be able to use the flex of those wires to kind of move those leaves around and put them where I want them. So put that one there. And so I'm gonna give it some space, give that one some room to breathe. And I'm gonna put this one in. I'm gonna put it in from a different angle so that they're not all facing the same way. Or am I? Actually, no, I'm gonna put them all on the same angle so we have like a kind of a rotation effect going on here. For my next thing, I am going to use these pretty little pieces here, these little dots, and I'm going to, in the same way that all my leaves are following this direction here, I'm going to use these and utilize them in the same way, in that same kind of directional rotation. These I do think I'm going to leave together though, instead of breaking them apart. And I'm going to kind of come in between where my little sections of leaves are so that I don't have everything bunched up together, especially for these pieces like this that are still kind of the foundational pieces. And what I'm doing right now is just using the stick that was attached to that, the pick, and wrapping it around the base. Okay, that's done, and now I'm going to go for my last set of picks. That's going to be these cute pumpkins. And they also have these little curly things that I really like. These little things that I'm actually going to pick off, and we're going to use those in some other places. So I've got these pumpkins, and they're all attached to this little stem thingy. There we go, this little stem thingy that I'll be able to use to kind of put that wherever I want to put it. Okay, so we've got those on there. Now I'm going to take some of these little curly things that I told you guys I like to pull those out and really use those to give some dimension. So here you're just going to see me hot gluing in place some of my pumpkins and pine cones. That fabric bottom allows them to stick with the hot glue. So all I have left from here is to hide these pipe cleaners, and all I'm going to do for that is a whole lot of tucking. Tuck, 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 tuck behind this pumpkin for this one, and then I'm going to use the deco mesh to kind of pull everything out of the way. But for your wreath or whatever you're doing, just kind of use any elements that are not hot glued in place. You can use anything. You can move this stuff around. It's attached to the wires and all of that. Everything is flexible, like I said, unless it's glued down, and you can use all those things in your favor to help you hide those pipe cleaners. This baby, I really am very happy with how it turned out. This one is a little more gaudy, a little more, you know, or ornate, a little more ornamental. You can do more modern, different color schemes, different themes, whatever you want to do. But this is what you've seen me do. It's kind of the basic of what you'll do no matter what your materials are. But I think this baby is ready to go on my door. And if you like this video, hit the like button, comment, leave a comment, subscribe, share it with some friends, all that good stuff. But in the meantime, I'll holler.